Good evening, brothers and sisters in Memphis. Really happy to be back on Facebook again. I wanted to take time to share just a few things that we are experiencing here in America and around the world. I know that we're living through some very difficult times and painful times for those who are beaten down by life's painful and tragic circumstances. So many of our loved ones, family and friends are dying and suffering through this horrible virus that we are living through here in Memphis and around the world. I just want to give a word of encouragement to those who are out there. We know that we've heard so many different stories about so many bad things that's going on. We deal with so many issues and problems in the world, especially black people, African descent and others. We experience so many problems with racism and hatred. And seems like every situation that we come in contact with or happens in the world, we seem to get all the blame for it. And right now, this is not the time for us to fight. This is the time for us to fight the evil in the world, yes. But this is not a time that we fight among each other. There are rules and regulations set aside for us to try to survive and make it during these times. And one is that we become very close spiritually and mentally and emotionally with each other. And that we stay in our homes, that we stay in safe places with our families and loved ones. This is a wonderful time for us to cry out to our Creator and our ancestors and ask them to lead and guide us in the right direction. It's so painful. It's painful and ugly times when we lose family members and loved ones through illness and other tragic circumstances. But to have people dying like flies as a result of this coronavirus is really sad. It's a sad situation. But I believe without a shadow of a doubt that we're going to make it through this. We have had to survive and live through so many different things in this world and painful situation. But I strongly believe that we're going to survive. So I'm eternally grateful to God, eternally grateful for those who are concerned about people in the world, those who are interested in taking chances to help save the lives of other people. I want to give a shout out to those first responders and those who are in hospitals, doctors and nurses and others who are giving so much of their lives to protect others. We're watching so much that people are hurting, but there are those who are giving their lives, those as we see on TV and Facebook and other media, social media, we see that so many people are taking a chance and trusting and giving their life. I do want to say something that many of you may not agree with, and that is that we should not, under no circumstances, come together in buildings that we generally call churches. As we've been witnessing, so many people are dying. Even as a result of that, pastors are dying, preachers are dying, leaders are dying, and it's mainly in so many reasons, so many ways, is because they're leading their people blindly. When you see that's happening, then we should follow the rules and regulations that's been laid down for us. And when so many people are coming together, even if we're actually told not to, because of this virus being so dangerous and contagious that people will die as a result, we've been seeing that happen. So I think that we can begin to have church in our own home. This is a time where we can come together as a family and pray and meditate and sing and eat and have games and do things that we have not done for many years. You see that picture on the wall behind me? That's what it used to be like when I was growing up as a kid. That we had the family, the father, the mother, the grandmother, the children all sitting around the table, and we had prayer and we had open discussions about what our day or what our week has been like, and we celebrated. We had a wonderful time. Those days are not among us right now. So right now that we do have the time, that we can come together once again, let's take the advantage of this time. My wife and my 3 children, we're here, and we do just that. We celebrate, we eat, we played cards tonight, we played Trouble tonight, we played all sorts of different games. We pray and have, at every meal we meet, we have what we call family time. And we started doing this even before this painful situation in society. We got to the point where we want to go back to the old landmark and wanted to build our family back up with new traditions. We got away from the Christmas and the Easter and the Thanksgiving and all the other pagan holidays, and we celebrate in a different way. So I want to encourage you to take time to get with your families. And even if many of them are not at home with you, get on the phone and face them. You know, we do on the Facebook, you face them. What do you call it? When you put people on the Facebook, you join in together and just have a good time and cry out to each other, cry out to our Lord, and thank God for those of us who managed to get through this, and for those who will continue to get through this. I'm very happy. So many painful and ugly things have happened for so long now, and God is working out some new things. I promise you, I don't know and have a clue or understand what God is doing right now, but I know that, and I believe in my heart that God is still sitting on high, and He's still in control of this world. This is still His world. In spite of the painful and ugly things that we have caused in this world, in spite of all the hatred and violence and corruption that we have caused in this world, in spite of all the environment and all the ugly things that we've done to God's planet, to His world, God is still in control. I think a lot of things are happening in this world because we have not, under no circumstances, are we calling out to the Lord. And I think we've got to go to 2 Chronicles 7 and 14. 2 Chronicles, 7 and 14, starting with the 12th verse. And we've got to call out to the Lord, and we've got to seek His face. We've got to pray. We've got to ask for forgiveness, change our wicked and ugly ways. So many things we got to do as a land, as a people, as a race, as a culture. There's so many things that we must do in order to get back where the Lord would have us be. Otherwise, we're going to continue to experience all of these things until it all comes to an end. And one day, it will come to a close. But right now, it doesn't have to. All we have to do is follow God's instructions and follow His lead. You know, several months ago, I went through very painful and ugly circumstances. Many of you know that I was downtown at 550 Poplar Avenue, and we started what was called the Good Samaritan Church and Outreach Ministry. And for about 5 years, we were down there feeding and serving the homeless. We were in a community where it was saturated with homeless and broken people right across from the Memphis Union Mission. And so we fed, we clothed, we played music, we celebrated, we danced. We had a marvelous time providing for those who had health needs, those who had all sorts of issues and concerns, those who were stricken with HIV and AIDS. We connected them to programs of spiritual and social uplift. We had church services. We fed every day. We provided clothing, good hot meals. We did it all, and we enjoyed it. On July the 10th of this year, I was faced with a very painful and ugly situation where I was hit and attacked in church during service during the time that we fed our meals. And I was hospitalized for about a week and a half. And it was one of the most painful physical times in my life where I was bleeding on my brain, hospitalized. I had a spinal bone removed in my neck and my spine. Had a difficult time walking, double vision, just so many things went on. Emotional distress, and my wife and children witnessed that. All our volunteers and church members and others who were there, they witnessed that. They saw those painful and ugly things that happened. And on top of that, we had some mountain numbers of bills and other things. So while I laid up in the hospital and tried to learn to walk again and deal with those things that I was experiencing, I had some wonderful people who were in my corner. My wife and my children, and Minister Crawford was at my side. And my sisters, they were at my side. And my brothers, they were there to help me through some of that. But do you realize one of the most painful times I had is that I had people that I thought loved me dearly, people who we considered Christians and church members who showed no real love and concern. That was one of the most painful days of my life. It hurt so much that they didn't come to visit me, they didn't call. I did have a couple who did, but for the most part, they showed no concern, no real care at all. But that wasn't the first time. When my sister died, my mother died, my grandmother died, and other painful things that I experienced, they showed no real love and concern. Many of them didn't. And that was just a painful time for me. And it led me to really take time to look over not only my life, but what I was doing, what I felt like I was called to do, and was I actually doing the right thing? And it came to a conclusion, I came to the conclusion that I wasn't, that I was not what they needed and wanted. I was not a good pastor, a good leader in that sense. I tried, I did the best I knew how, but it didn't seem to work, so I thought I'd waste no more time. So I gave it up. I closed the church down, I left there, and I started what's called the African Heritage and Cultural Village of Memphis. I came to realize that the people that I love, the people that I believe need to know God, first need to come to know themselves, a little bit about their history and their culture. In a real sense, while all the years we were in church, I never really got to know God. I felt it, I said it, I preached it, but to develop a real relationship, I had some struggles with that of my own. And I thought, if I was having struggles like that, how in the world are the people around me, how are they handling it? If I'm having such a major struggle with those kinds of things, my faith was dwindling, my belief in certain things, Christianity and other things were folding, and I was losing it. So I decided that I would take time away and cry out to God, to my ancestors, and ask for guidance. So I walked away from the church, from that particular church, the outreach part. We still have church. We still have our spiritual part of the church. We're doing the spiritual work, but I'm not into the religious theatrics of the church anymore. I'm not putting emphasis on satisfying other people first. My goal is to satisfy my God and come to know my God. And before I can give anything to anybody else, I have to have a clear understanding of what that looks like and what that means. So that's where I've been working, and working extremely hard. And God has blessed me in ways you won't believe. God has blessed my life. God has healed me in ways you won't believe. I have new friends. I have new families, wonderful people that I've met all around the United States. We had planned a trip to Egypt, but because of the painful and tragic things going on now, we had to put that on a hold. But I met some of the best people in the world in New York and St. Louis and many other places where my wife and family traveled in order to come to know some of our brothers and sisters in the African faith, in the African community, and come to know some wonderful people. And I'm not giving up on the people that I love, people who supported our ministry and who still support our ministry, and because there's some wonderful people that I love dearly. And I will continue to work with them and continue to love on them and continue to use whatever resources they want to provide from God to us to help us to grow, to teach, to learn, to empower those who are crying out for love, justice, and mercy. We're going to continue to do just that. But I just wanted to kind of share a little bit, as with so much going on right now, that we need to create, to redevelop, do some more things in order to reach those who are in gangs, those who don't know God, those who are not connected to any program of spiritual or uplift, those who are committing murder and violence and all the hatred and ugliness in the world. We just got to find a way to go back into the hood, back into the broken communities, and stay there. So we've decided, instead of walking downtown, we're going to work right directly in North Memphis, in the heart of where the gangs, the heart of prostitution, the heart of brokenness, the heart of lost brothers and sisters who don't know God, who don't have a clue of what Christianity is about, who don't have a clue about their history and culture, who don't seem to understand they're lost and broken. Our goal is to connect them, to help them in those ways. Our goal is to teach them what it means, what it truly means to be a child of God, to be a brother and sister in the faith, and to love yourself. And then you'll learn to truly love others. We have to really understand what that means. The Bible reminds us to love God with all our heart, mind, strength, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Now, if you take a look at that, it gives you some real instructions. And God knows, for most of my life, I never got it. Love God with all your heart, mind, strength, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Now listen to that. You have to, in other words, it's putting you before anybody else. Again, let me say it. Love God with all of your heart, mind, strength, and soul, and love your neighbor as you love you. So in other words, I've got to learn to love me first. I've got to learn to love my family. I've got to learn to love those around me. I've got to certainly know and love God before I can say I truly love anybody else. I can't lie and tell the world that I love white people simply because they give money, or they give food, or they give gifts, or anybody else, and black businessmen and others, black pastors and ministers. We just tell people that we love them because we're expecting something from them. We're going to get something out of it. That's not love. That's not truly love. That's simply not love. When people give from their heart and they love the Lord, it matters no what walk of life they come from. If they're giving it from their heart, then that means they have some love in their heart. Some people have reasons for giving it. I don't argue with that. But I know that in order for me to love them, I've got to love them whether they give or not. So that's where we're headed now. So we have a little building we're preparing to move in. But right now we've just got to wait and work on ourselves. We've got to continue to work on those around us. But we've got to wait and pray and ask the Lord to help us with this situation that's happening in the world. And pray for those family members, those people who are lost, those people who are hurting, those people who are losing loved ones, and people from all walks of life are dying. You have the believers and the unbelievers. You have the black and the white. You have people from every area of this world that's dying and sick as a result of what's happening in the world. So we still have a spiritual and moral expectation in order to reach out to them and cry out to them, cry out to our God to help them with what they're experiencing as well. It breaks my heart to know that people are losing their mothers, their grandmothers, their children. Healthy people are dying because somebody accidentally or unexpectedly breathed on them, and now they're dying as a result of it. This is horrible. It's like it's in a movie. But I know and believe with all my heart and mind, with all my heart and mind and my strength and soul, that God is in charge, and God will decide what the end is going to be, and even what we decide to do, God is still going to take control. So I want to say Ashe, I want to say Maya Hotep. For those, my brothers and sisters who are out there, I just want to let you know that I love you and praying for you, that in these dark and painful times, know that there's some joy, there's some light in spite of all that. Let's follow the rules and regulations Let's communicate. Let's dialogue. Let's go on the webinars and have conversations in our communities. Let's set up times where we can meet over our phone. And I'm not calling anybody to ask you for your money. So pastors, let's put the money and the begging and all the other stuff on the hold. Right now, what we ought to be doing is what the Lord has blessed us with. We ought to be willing to give to those who are struggling and in need. So our goal as leaders, as community leaders, pastors, preachers, and others, we ought to be trying to reach out to people, encourage them, loving them. Not let every time I come on saying, don't forget to give to this church, or give to the village, or give to this and give to that. No. We are all struggling, and I believe that everybody's been offered or given some kind of monies by the government. So let's take what we have and build and work out the things that we need to work out and help our people, help those who are crying out for love, justice, and mercy. Let's get away from the greed and for the ugly deeds that we are seeking only for ourselves and only for our families, and just getting what we feel like we need for ourselves. Yes, we have all sorts of needs. We do. But for those of us who are called by his name, now y'all heard what I said, those of us who say we're called by his name, we have a moral and spiritual obligation to do more than just try to get money and try to make ourselves rich and wealthy and get the things that we need and care little or nothing about those who are hurting. The saddest day in the world is to see babies and children sick and hungry and suffering. The saddest day in the world, we've watched for many, many years children in Africa and Guatemala and so many other places around the world starving. We've watched the Mother Teresa feed those who are dying in the street, who are hungry. So many people in Africa and other places around the world, poor children even in Brazil, who are suffering and dying from food, not from viruses, but from food. The lack of food, the wrinkled stomachs. That day is over. Now we see people who have done quite well now are struggling as well. The middle class and others are struggling as well. The white people struggling as well. You see the hate fillers, the racists, the hate mongers, they're suffering as well. And some people are still carrying their hate. But that day is over because God has come up with a new plan. And guess what? We don't know what that is. All we know is what we have, what we've been taught, what we've been told, and what's in that book. And we don't know if all that's true. Right now, we've got to cry out to God and ask God to lead and guide us. God, you lead me. You guide me. You tell me what to do. And how do I need to not only benefit myself and my family, but benefit those that you put before me, and to do what you call, even if it means things that's not good, like those first responders and doctors and nurses and others who are in the hospital, who are giving their lives, who are struggling, who are suffering right now, and they have to go home to their babies. Can you imagine them seeing so much death all day long? It's like being in a war zone, to see them sweating and crying and seeing so many bodies being packed in refrigerators because they're dying, one behind the other. Can you even imagine what that must be like for those people right now who are having to try to help save those lives and to watch so many of them die? Do you have any clue of what it means for what they're going through right now? Do we even care about what they're dealing with and what they're going through? Put your hatred, your racism, your ugliness, your prejudice, put it on the back shelf if you have to. Get rid of it. Right now, let's be concerned about those who are concerned about us. God forbid, if I got sick and went into the hospital, there are those who don't look like me will still try to help save me. So we have to be respectful to all of those people and ask God to bless them, to heal their hands, and heal our land. God, we trust and depend on you. We believe. There are those of us who really truly believe in our hearts that it's going to be a better day. It's going to be a better day. But God, I know that we're going to have to get down on our knees and come before you as a family, as a community, as a human race in this world and cry out to you. I just want to let you know that I love you. I love all of you. I love those who love me. I love those who love God. I love those who are broken and lost, who don't know, who don't understand, those who are confused, even my enemy. Because they don't know, they don't understand, they're lost, they're broken, and been lied to so much. I love you too. I love you to the best of my ability. Even those who don't seem to care or love me. Let's trust and have faith in God, and let's move forward. Until next time, I'm Norman Redwing with the African Heritage and Cultural Village of Memphis. Ashe.